It seems a long time ago that she said that, but it wasn't. It was within the last decade. But that's how kind of unspeakable an issue migration was at the time. That's just one example I can think of. I've mentioned trans rights. You can talk about conversations around abortion rights and the like. Some things seem to be starting to become unsayable. And obviously some things are and should be unsayable in law. We have laws that protect people, ideally, from such things, out and out racist or out and out harmful, really in law harmful expressions. But debate is different to that, isn't it? So do you think we have a problem with free speech in this country and therefore support what the government is doing, bringing legislation forward? Or do you think it's more of a trap for the left, this legislation that the government is setting? 0345 6060 973, the number to call. You can text 84850 or tweet at LBC. And in your own life, have you been able to say what you think with impunity? 0345 6060 973. Let's talk to Sunday Blake, first of all, President of the Exeter Guild of Students. Good afternoon to you.
Hello Sheila, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Thanks for joining. Do you believe this legislation is necessary? Are campuses places where free speech is being stymied?
Oh goodness, that is a big question. I think, first of all, I haven't actually seen the bill fully yet, so I can't comment on the whole steps of the legislation, but I do welcome clear support for student unions in running events because, there's not sort of national policy and each union can do it differently. I think we have to be quite careful really because so as a union we work with the university on their prevent issues, which I think you alluded to in your introduction, but also because we're registered charities, we have regulations from the Charity Commission, so there's quite a lot of regulation already in student unions. But I am hoping that the new legislation works with and alongside these regulations.
I didn't mention prevent, but I'm glad you did. I should have, and I'm glad you did.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I think my brain went there when you said not in law today.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, it's a good example, isn't it? Because student unions do need to work, and as you say, need to work with the uni authorities, to say university leadership, to make sure that hate speech of any kind actually isn't, in law. I'm talking about law here, not just something that you don't like. That's a really strong example of prevent. What about more discursive examples? A debate saying it's okay to bomb people in Britain is not a debate. It's a disgrace and it shouldn't be allowed. But a debate that discusses that point of intersection between trans women's rights and women's rights, and even me using that language, I know will get people telling me off. But that's a legitimate area for discussion, isn't it?
So I find it really interesting actually, because obviously a lot of the focus is on students debating and that sort of very sort of confrontational dialogue. We're wrong, you're all right. One person at the end of the event admits defeat, and the audience sort of says that one person's right. And I actually think that gender critical feminism and trans rights, they are being discussed on university campuses because they're being discussed. They're discussed in seminar rooms. There's university modules on gender critical theory, but it's a much more collaborative, sort of deliberative way of discussing it. And I certainly don't see those seminars sort of, being cancelled. And I think when we talk about debating, it is a very confrontational point of view. I think sometimes people get a bit confused with, is someone saying something you disagree with, or are they acting in a way that's quite hostile and sort of contradicting our code of conduct? So obviously within the student union we have got codes of conduct, and I think one of the things that's quite difficult is in the last 13 months online life had exploded. So pre-pandemic, aggressive behaviour in an event we would address under our code of conduct, and that's for our students and guests.
Yeah, but I understand that aggressive behaviour is a whole different thing. If somebody just says something that, because of the content, just outrages someone else's sensibilities, that's not a reason to ban somebody from speaking, is it? That would be a terrible situation to find.
No, and I think student unions are places where we really should be encouraging our students to challenge their preconceived against ideas. I always say to my students, when you come to campus every day, come in the knowledge that you're probably going to be wrong about something. That's the best way to learn. I represent 22,000 students, and we've got libertarian societies, we've got socialist societies. So as a president, I have to really grapple with a really broad range of political ideologies on my campus. And what I say to these students is, one pressure group of students cannot stop another group of students having the event and the speaker that they want to listen to. So just to use, the two parties in power, the Labour Society cannot come to me and tell me that they don't want the Conservative Society to invite, an example, Jacob Rees-Mogg we had in Freshers Week. That's a really clear line that we have to give our students. And I often say that one of the barriers, just swaying off your question a little bit, but one of the barriers that we have, and COVID, ironically, has actually really helped us with, and I actually think this was mentioned in the bill. So there was a mention about how I think it's the Israeli ambassador, if I'm right, wasn't allowed to come because the union said they couldn't afford security expenses. Now, what I'm hoping this new legislation does is come up with really good, strong, practical guidance for unions on how they can, support freedom of speech whilst
That's it for now, ladies and gents.
Can I ask you, in the...
More
you do have
tomorrow,
a job
I think.
in your hands. When you're...
Ta-ta.